making people sit up and take notice. But I think everyone's been calling for this. Not everybody necessarily expected there to be a clarification at this point in the season, but I think it's the right thing to do. What do you think?
I feel like it's been coming. I sort of feel like they wanted to wait until every team had played the same amount of games before doing anything, because you didn't want to seem like you're giving some teams a different advantage by they might have played an extra game under the win a penalty at will rule that we were operating under.
Yeah.
I think it's a clarification as much for the referees than for the players, but what it means is the referees now will feel more empowered to call out players for what we don't want to see, which is important, because if a referee is concerned that they're going to get criticised for some level of inconsistency, and that's why they were applying a letter of the law ruling rather than a sensible common sense ruling, it felt like that was what was happening. This gives them some protection that their chief, like Ganson and the other heads of the match officials departments and all of that are behind us in this. And basically, what do we want to see? We want to see fast, exciting games that are dominated by good play by the players, not crafty shite by the players or the referee's whistle because he feels like he's got no option. This addresses that somewhat, and it really does lay down to the players that this isn't what we want to see, and why are you doing it anyway? Like, stop it.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, this was something. It was already possible to make these certainly the penalising for passing into a player, because I saw it like 2 weeks ago when we played Fev. So it was always possible, but as you say, it's a little bit of extra. An extra bit of kind of clarification for the referees and, as you say, to build that confidence.
And to be honest,
to be clear,
the passing into opposing player one, I think that's been the one that's been hastily added to this after the weekend's events, particularly the Catalan Dragons game against Castleford Tigers, where Michael Shenton did. We haven't seen ones the likes of that one since the last time there was a bit of a opening up of the conversation about this sort of issue, which was it at the start of last season or even maybe the start of the season before? I can't remember. But the Shenton one, he just dropped it onto the player. There was no pass. There was no real pass involved. Tony Gigo actually tried to do it later on in the same half of the game, but actually he'd already won the penalty for the ball hitting another player before he picked up and threw it to another player. However, so I think that's been just added on. Like you say, because it already was kind of the rule, but maybe it just reinforces it. It's the other ones. It's the stepping over, and the deliberately trying to kick the ball back harder when you think you might get a player, when you're giving your dummy half no chance of getting it. It's those two aspects of it that, to me, are the real ones that we're seeing way too often, and teams are using it to gain field position advantage when the defender isn't really the defender's trying to not cause a problem. They're trying to get out of the way in 50% of the cases, aren't they? And the attacking players are trying to pin them in. I mean, we talked last week about somewhere like the dummy half had actually helped put the player in, and we talked a little bit more about Tompkins just before as well, he's done it a few times, put the player into the ruck still, stop the player from escaping the ruck, and that to me is really wrong. And why would anyone want to do it? Like, the need to win shouldn't be that great. I mean, if we want cheating out of the game, scrap relegation, but because that would reduce it wouldn't take cheating out altogether, but it would reduce the incentive to cheat, because you're not going to lose as much by losing a game. But there's still going to be cheating in gamesmanship, isn't there? This is I don't know. I'm happy. Are you happy?
I'm happy it's been clarified. Hopefully the players will take note. With these kind of things, there's always an event that you kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back, isn't it? And the Shenton one is that straw. So hopefully we'll all move on and we'll have a better result on the pitch, better view of things on the pitch. So
yeah, excellent. I agree. Okay. Well said. Okay, let's move on then to round 11 of the Super League. Right, Alan, round 11 of Super League was the record round. 13,196 was the average attendance. The aggregate attendance was the highest for a six-game Super League round ever, for a Super League round, for a standalone Super League round ever, in fact. And so obviously this average attendance was the best of this season so far, the best we've seen for many a time. Absolutely fantastic. Everyone should be, it was targeted by the Super League executives. They saw an opportunity. They saw that they had Wigan at home in the derby, so that's a few extra thousand you can get there. Hull FC at home in the derby, a few extra thousand you can get there. Leeds and Warrington at home too, that's two other plus 10,000 crowds. They saw an opportunity, even with London being at home, and that opportunity was totally realised, wasn't it? So I think we should congratulate the clubs for putting that extra effort into promoting these fixtures, because I certainly know Wigan and Hull FC and St Helens and Hull KR similarly have really pushed these games as well to drive those plus 20k crowds in those particular games and get this overall success.
Yeah, no, well done for everyone who got down to the games. I mean, I think certainly on telly it looked great crowds-wise, and obviously everyone bathing in the sunshine, and it looked really good.
Baking in the sunshine.
Okay. Some more than others.
Well, the first game wasn't necessarily played in sunshine as such, because it was an evening kick-off on the Thursday night. Do you want to take us through the first of the games? Yep,
so on Thursday last week, seems like a million years ago, it was Cass 28, Wakefield 26. A lot less close at half-time, Castleford with a 22-4 half-time lead. There were 9,316 people there, and Chris Kendall was the man in charge. Yet again, the perils of having a unusual squad members for this game means we can't give you team stats, but in terms of individual players, for the winning Castleford Tigers, Liam Watts with try assist, 49 tackles, 12 of which were marker tackles, and 123 metres, going both ways there. James Clare, 2 tries, 135 metres, 2 clean breaks. Nathan Massey with 136 metres. Dan Smith with 1 try assist, 125 metres. For the losing Trin, Carl Wood with 42 tackles, Reece Lynn 103 metres, George King 106 metres, and better than them all, Paulie with 131 metres. What did people have to say about this one?
The first person to get in touch was Adam Conley, 87, who said, "Chuff me, didn't expect it to be that close after the first half. Cass practically dominated the first 55 minutes with Watts laying the platform and Aston making a good debut, but credit to Wakefield who came back with their big men dominating a tiring and depleted Cass pack. But overall, a win's a win and 2 points in the bag. Hashtag 12 in a row." It was great to meet a few of the SLP gang for the first time in the second half too. Yeah, an impromptu SLP meet-up went on there, and that was cool to see.
It certainly was. And we have Karsten. Welcome back, Karsten, after your illness absence. Obviously, he was here. He was there for the game. The first half looked like Cass would win this one easy, but Wakey came back in the second half. The Cass fans were really welcoming and even accepted a guy in a Leeds shirt. Just to clarify, that wasn't him.
He was wearing an SLP t-shirt.
He was, he was rocking it. Thanks to Rob and his mates, this made for a good experience.
Yeah, they are. To be fair, they are a decent bunch, and they keep you as fans of other teams protected from the other Cass fans pretty well. Helen Gappick said, "The first half Cass put in a solid performance and gave us fans something to cheer about down the right wing for a change. Again, injuries impacted us in the game. Losing Jesse is never going to be good, and Oggy too. A game of two halves again and my nerves are shot. Special mention to Corey Aston, who was outstanding, and Liam Watts, who was the better prop on the pitch."
Josh says, "My new favourite hobby. Go along to Cass games and see what, as a Leeds fan, I can be blamed for." All around, really enjoyed the game and the atmosphere. Fafita looked like he'd signed a contract and took his foot off the gas a bit. Cass are becoming a shoestring of a team. Good comeback from Wakey, and Cass showed resilience to hold them off.
Fatboy Rob said, "Classy Cass in the first half, crappy Cass in the second. Luckily, we managed to hang on. Corey Aston played very well on debut. Hopefully, he will get a run on running the team. Watts must be close to an England call by now. Well, he's in the elite performance squad, so he's on the way. And he hashtagged it 12 in a row as well.
Yeah. And then the next one is in, I'm guessing this is in Catalonian. So.
This is because when Rob submitted his match review, he was in Spain or France already, wherever he's been at the weekend.
So yeah, it's basically exactly the same, but in Catalonia.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a shot. Cas con clase el primer semestre de mía de cas el en segundo. Por suerte nos las arreglamos para aguantar. Corey Aston, jugó muy bien el debut. Well, we all know what that means. Con suerte conseguirá una carrera en el equipo. Los vatios deben estar cerca de una llamada en Inglaterra. And then 12 in a row.
The Corey Aston bit, it just reminded me of the Fast Show. Do you remember the old
Yes.
Liam Watts? Anyway, yeah, over to you on what you made of this action. A few people have said game of two halves. Sums it up well, yeah?
Well, yeah, it certainly was. I mean, I wanted to... the first thing I wanted to pick up on, obviously there was quite a lot of changes in these teams, but I wanted to pick up on two players who kind of made their debuts for their teams. Obviously, people have talked about Corey Aston. Obviously, he played very well in his debut. But I also wanted to pick up about... his name's gone from my head. Just when Ben
Reynolds.
Ben Reynolds, thank you. I thought they both had very good games, considering they haven't performed for their teams before. And I think to me,
they both grabbed debut tries as well, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. And it does kind of give a slight lie to this impression that we almost have a lack of talent. I think Aston's been kind of sniffing around the edge of squads for a while, hasn't he? He's been in and out on loan and stuff, and he's clearly got some talent. And it's amazing what you do if you give people a chance rather than just shuffling the current crop of your 17. So I
wonder if McShane had been. If McShane had been available rather than suspended, would they have just put him in the halves and not given Aston his chance? And so definitely, I think what you're saying drives home that point.
Yeah, I thought. Obviously a game of two halves. I thought it did feel like they were both aware that they were playing again pretty quickly. So they both played half a game really, in many ways. But yeah, you've got to admire. I mean, you just look at the stats line on Liam Watts. You can't really argue with that one, can you? Really, that's an early contender for Player of the Week with those stats, I would say.
He was absolutely outstanding for the first 50 minutes. I think he probably had a brief spell off the pitch at that stage, and maybe that's part of the story.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because obviously there was definitely a sense of relaxing and letting Wakey back in it. And I have to say, I thought my try of the game was probably Reynolds' try. I thought that was a great movement. I've got to say, I think Jowett's really starting to play well. He's starting to again coming into place when there's injuries, but he's making a claim for a regular spot at fullback, I'd say.
He's a class player. He's a very talented player. I think we've seen that plenty, and him getting the opportunity in his preferred position as well. I'm on board with what you're saying there. Another storyline from this game, one you don't see very often, is two players injured scoring tries, one for each side. I think it just shows the commitment and dedication and just what it takes to be a professional rugby league player, and how one of the reasons why we love the game so much is this body's on the line for the cause situation. And in both these instances, it was in the most positive way possible for their teams. It wasn't like a bone-crunching tackle that might have gone wrong or anything like that. It was trying desperately to score and just about doing it despite the damage that you're putting on your body. I mean, every respect to these players. Senny Lafayette in the first half and Joe Arundel in the second half as well. Talk to me a little bit about what you were feeling in that last 10 minutes, though. Did you think